Hello, YouTube. I'm Ooze Pop. Okay? I'm going to talk to you about one of my favorite bands. They're called Fireworks. They're a pop punk band from Michigan, I believe from Detroit. I believe they're not a band anymore. I'm not 100% sure. I should perhaps be more researched on this, but I'm not here to give you fireworks lore. I'm here to tell you the best to worst fireworks albums. Okay, let's go. At number six is We Are Everywhere. This album is awesome, okay? It's awesome for several reasons. And I'm going to tell you why after I find the page in which I wrote my reasons down, okay? So We Are Everywhere is an EP, not an album. Okay? It was recorded in 2006. It is it's just got classic pop punk vibes. You listen to it and it sounds somewhat nostalgic, even if you've never heard it before. Sort of sounds like it could be loosely related to like a Newfound Glory, something like that. You know what I mean? Even though it is pop punk vibes, there's some added flavor, some added stuff that isn't just pop punk. I don't want to say it's prog or progressive rock because it's not got that prog sound, and I don't want to call it math rock. But if you listen to this and many Fireworks albums, you'll understand what I'm talking about. The unpredictable nature of the songwriting is what it makes it not proggy, but just exciting. It keeps your attention going. So the song might be in 4/4 the whole time and easy to catch a rhythm, but never is a song, well, hardly ever. Some songs are more poppier and catchier than others, but hardly ever are you going to see the same riff twice. You get what I mean? You really see this in the first song on the album, From Mountain Movers to Lazy Losers, where it's easy to follow and it's easy to flow, but you just never hear the guitar do the same riff twice unless it's a chorus, and the chorus is only repeated twice, like, and it's very short, right? For a debut EP, and I don't know if an EP can be considered a debut. I think this really features the type of playing you'd expect from professionals, people who'd been doing this for a while. It seems the playing, the cohesion, the musicianship that you hear on this album, and it's Fireworks' first release, right? What you hear on this is very impressive. How fast paced it is, how lockstep every section is. These guys were meant to make music, and they were meant to make music together, and you'll really hear that on this EP. Okay? And yes, it's 4/4 most of this album, but it doesn't really matter. Just because it's catchy and simple doesn't mean it's predictable, like we mentioned earlier. It's good, it's enjoyable. Dave McKinder's vocals are absolutely to die for. His singing, it takes pop punk style vocals and adds finesse. He sings exactly the way you're supposed to, and then some. Pop punk vocals are very easy to be generic and boring. Dave McKinder's not gonna settle for simple, generic, boring. There are some weird bass drops in this album, which is which dates the album, I'll say. It kind of reveals when this album was recorded, 2006. back when bass drops were kind of normal, kind of more common. So, my summary of this album is that it's an excellent pop punk release that does more than your average pop punk. Although the band was very young when they recorded this, you really feel like you're listening to some veterans, to some people who were meant to make music. It's simple, but it kicks ass. At number 5 is Bonfires. Bonfires is an EP. It was released in 2010. There's only 4 songs on it, I believe. One of them's called I Grew Up in a Legion Hall, and it's quite an awesome song. Now, again, with Bonfires, Fireworks does this proggy, unpredictable songwriting style. It's hard. I don't really want to call it proggy. At the same time, it's not verse chorus. It's nothing like that. It's something brand new. You've never heard pop punk be this pristine. I Grew Up in a Legion Hall is one of Fireworks' best songs. So is 5 Years, and so is like Ships in the Night. Seasick, the closing track, I don't dislike that track, but it's just not as timeless and as punchy as the first 3. But regardless, Bonfires is an awesome EP, and it contains some top tier Fireworks material, and you should listen to it if you're into pop punk. All right. At number 4 is the album Oh Common Life. This one was recorded in 2014, and I really like this album. If you haven't noticed, I'm a big Fireworks fan, and I really like Fireworks. They're a band that I like. Fuck you, Apple Juice. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. I'm taking it down. You've lost your privileges. So, in Oh Common Life, Fireworks are more doing a rock album than a pop punk album, like their earlier work implies, but they sacrifice none of their magic. None of it. It is still 100% a Fireworks album, first and foremost, and an awesome Fireworks album. When I first heard this album many years ago, this is back in 2014, I liked it, but it felt like the band was calming down. Like they were choosing, like because they were old, they were choosing to play it soft and play it slow. Now that I'm old and I'm re-listening to it, I don't think that. I think that they were still at their prime making amazing music with O Common Life. The song Glowing Crosses is one of the catchiest choruses I've ever heard in my life. It's addicting to sing the song. Yeah, the night just grew its fangs, and I felt its growing pains. That chorus is insanely catchy. I really, really like it. Another one is Bed Sores. Bed Sores is equally as classic. 100% just as classic. If you like the very first track, you like the second track too. There's a track called God Play God Only Knows at My Funeral, and it checks every single box for all-time classic. The guitar riffs in this song are absolutely delicious and memorable, and the vocals just kill. Dave McKinder was meant to sing. He was meant to sing. One More Creature, Dizzy with Love also feels like a really classic radio rock song. Even if you've never heard it, you feel like it should be a classic radio rock song. Same kind of feeling for The Only Thing That Haunts This House Is Me. And that track is cheesy, but it's the best kind of cheesy. absolutely love it. Okay? The sound of Young America almost feels like a filler track, but it's so good. It just ends up kicking ass at the end of the day. It just ends up kicking ass, okay? It's really hard to not like that song. Even the slow and boring songs punch just as hard as the songs that have a little bit more, vibrance to them. The song Run Brother Run. It has the most plays for a reason. It's simple, but it's oh so delicious. Oh my goodness, it's such a good song. Run, brother, run. It's so good. You have to listen to it. The Hotbed of Life is fireworks by the numbers, but who cares, dude? Who cares? It's a good fireworks song. It really is. What I really like about this song is that it doesn't have the final track syndrome that you guys know that I hate. It's just another song, and it feels good. It feels good, okay? It feels good. My summary of Oh Common Life is that it's more of like an indie rock album than a pop punk album. But in that transition, they sacrifice nothing. They lose none of their magic. Usually when bands go this route, I absolutely hate it. I am absolutely the type of guy to say, "You know what? Kudos to you, band, for doing what you want to do. I don't really like this sound though. I don't really like it." But in O Common Life, Fireworks lose none of what makes them a good band, and I think you should listen to this album. You feel me? At number 3, we've got Adventure, Nostalgia, and Robbery. This is an EP from the pop punk slash rock band Fireworks. It's really, really good EP. Okay, I promise you, it is. It's short, sweet, and to the point. It's very, very pop punk. It's much more pop punk feeling than the last album was. This is an EP, by the way. This is so pop punk. It's so nostalgic that it reminds me of high school. It reminds me of wearing jean shorts and tank tops and, you know, not having a dad gut. It's less than 10 minutes, but it packs a heavy, heavy punch. It's only like 4 or 5 songs long, but it packs as much punch as a pop punk album would, right? It's probably not as innovative as Bonfires is, but I think it's maybe a little bit more timeless, a little bit more memorable if what you're looking for is that pop punk sound, not rock songs, but specifically that pop punk sound. This would be a lot more timeless. And I do have to make one final point. This may upset some people, if anybody even cares to watch these reviews and even likes the band Fireworks. But this might be positioned at number 3. I realize that. This list was made a very long time ago. Had this list been made more recently, I don't think I would have put this EP at number 3. It would have been somewhere earlier. Just saying. I'm not going to really edit my list though, because it's already been made. I'm just making my video based on what I have written on albumoftheyear.org, and I have finalized on albumoftheyear.org. Sorry if that's unsatisfying, but it is what it is. A little bit of a a little bit of an honorable mention. We're gonna talk about the song Demitas by Fireworks. This is a really good track. This didn't end up on any albums. It was a single they put out in 2019. Got me really excited that maybe one of my favorite bands of all time was back together. Ignore that sound. That was the sound of chess. This track is highly worth your attention. 10 out of 10 track. Beautiful track. One of Fireworks' best track they've ever written. I'm glad they released the single. This one was really difficult. Really, really difficult. But at number two, I am gonna have to give it to All I Have to Offer Is My Own Confusion. I wrote down the wrong name, the wrong album title, but I have to put this at number two. Now, if you look at my album of the year.org rankings, you will realize that they don't match. I have All I Have to Offer Is My Own Confusion almost at 100, and the next album, which we won't spoil if you're not familiar with Fireworks, is less than that, but I think it deserves the number one place, and I'll explain why as I go through this, okay? All I Have to Offer Is My Own Confusion is absolutely marvelous. It reminds me of Warp Tour days when I was really young and I used to go to Warp Tour. I used to go to big festivals with pop punk bands, emo bands, rock bands, hardcore bands. It was so lit. Metalcore bands, deathcore bands, grindcore bands. So good. This album is a pop punk essential. If you're a pop punk fan, if you are a fan of the Wonder Years, Title Fight, or The Story So Far, those kind of artists, you better listen to this. This is a mandatory listen, okay? There's not a single bad song on here. Even the softer songs, the slower songs that aren't as punchy as some of the more vibrant and exciting songs that you can yell with your chest, even those songs hit pretty hard and are extremely memorable and catchy, okay? The song Holiday is the first song I ever heard by Fireworks. That song is on this album. I discovered that song through Last FM on my Xbox 360. What a beautiful way to discover music, right? All in all, it's a pop punk essential. If you're a fan of that genre, this album is absolutely mandatory listening. Absolutely. Amazing album. Finally, at number one, we've got Gospel. You guessed it. Gospel is straight up one of the best albums I've ever heard in my life. Songwriting wise, sound wise, everything wise. It's awesome, okay? The songwriting is absolutely pristine. I keep referring to the songwriting as proggy, but by now I think you know what I mean. It's kind of like unexpected, it's disjointed, just quirky enough to satisfy the music nerds, but simple enough to make casual listeners unafraid to listen to it, okay? It's got a nice balance of that complexity and just casual musicness, right? It's hype, it's energetic, it's youthful, yet it's smart and artistic. Really love that about this album. It's one of the most catchy albums I've ever heard, which is a feat considering how complex some of the songwriting can be. Just like All I Have to Offer Is My Own Confusion, there isn't a single bad song on here. But the reason why I think this one is a little bit better, despite the rankings I gave it, is the song I Am the Challenger. That one song really, really puts the cherry on top of this album to let you know that this is a very well rounded album. Okay? The songwriting is timeless and is one of the best pop punk slash indie rock albums I've ever heard in my life. Now, when I review albums, I don't always think of the future, right? When I made my worst to best list, when I reviewed these albums, I didn't think I was going to record a video about that list years later, okay? I hope that kind of explains the order of this list. But I feel very confident putting All I Have to Offer Is My Own Confusion at 2 and Gospel at 1. These are some of my favorite albums of all time from one of my favorite bands of all time. So, those are what I find to be the worst albums all the way to the best albums from the band Fireworks. I really like this band. I cherish this band. And I hope you'll watch more from me in this series. This is a series of stuff that I plan on doing. This series is going to be called Bands from My Youth or My Favorite Bands or whatever. Yeah, I've done Radiohead. I've done Fireworks. I'm not going to stop. Thank you for watching.